Okay, welcome to a class on advanced idioms and phrasal verbs. This is from a book by Stuart Redman and Ruth Gaines, and it's Oxford University Press, and these are chapters 44 and 45. Now, if you stand a chance, this is the same as have a chance of doing something. If you have a chance of winning, you stand a chance of winning. If you don't stand a chance of winning, you have no chance of winning. And remember, we say a chance of for likelihood. When chance means likelihood, it's a chance of. When chance means opportunity, like you will have the chance to apply your knowledge when you write your 10 questions with phrasal verbs, 10 sentences with phrasal verbs and send them to me. That means opportunity to do something, but chance of is likelihood. Now, look at the next few. It does no harm to do something, or it would do no harm to do something. You can use either of those. It means the same as this. It doesn't hurt to do something, or it wouldn't hurt to do something. And you say this when you're saying that, look, your plan is not such a bad one because it won't hurt anybody. And or maybe you're suggesting the plan and you're saying this isn't a bad plan because at the very least, nobody will be hurt by it. No one will care. Nobody will be offended. And so we say, it would do no harm to. So maybe I'm giving you financial advice and I say it would do no harm to invest in the stock market. It's not my financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor and I advise you to buy Bitcoin. But I might say it would do no harm to invest in the stock market. I might say there's no harm in investing in a house. And I actually think this is always the case. I think there's no harm in buying a house. I actually think it's a very good idea for young people. And it's a shame that a lot of them aren't encouraged to get on the housing market, on the housing ladder from an early age. I think often nowadays we encourage them not to. And it never hurts to get on the housing market. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to buy your own house. It actually helps you to grow up and become more responsible. Now, this next one I think is usually used in negative sentences. That's why I put a negative up here. This one often is as well. He doesn't stand a chance. But this one I think is often used in negative sentences. And you say something like this. Maybe you've got a friend and and he's not particularly good at maths and you want to make that point and you say something like this. You say he's not a mathematician by any stretch of the imagination, and that just makes it stronger. You're saying I couldn't even possibly imagine him as a mathematician. That's how unlike a mathematician he is. And so he's not a mathematician by any stretch of the imagination. You might, if you've got a friend and you're trying to say that he's a bit stupid, you might say he's not exactly Einstein by any stretch of the imagination. And I hope that's clear. It just means he's not Einstein whatsoever. Yeah, he's not like that at all. I couldn't even imagine him being like that. Okay, so that's a nice one. Okay, it stands to reason that just means that it is reasonable, that it's logical, that this is what you would expect to be the case. So you say something like, seeing as he drinks every day and smokes a lot and he has lots of bad habits, it stands to reason that he'll be in bad health. Yeah, it's logical, it's reasonable, it's rational, it's evident, it's obvious. It stands to reason that he will have bad health. To be in the same boat as somebody. I've got to say, there's something that I find about this expression. We use it very often when you're glad to be in the same boat as somebody. It's a little bit different than if I were in your shoes, if I were in your place, which is a hypothetical. We would use this, let's say you didn't hand in your essay on time and neither did your friend, and you don't know what punishment you're going to get. You don't know what the teacher's going to say. And you say to your friend, oh, I'm glad somebody is in the same boat as me. Just meaning, I'm glad I'm not the only one that's going to get punished. I'm glad you are too. I'm glad there are two of us. It means you share the blame and you share the punishment, and that makes it lighter. So it's normally good to be in the same boat as somebody, and it's normally that you're in the same difficult position, but at least there are two of you and not just one of you in that difficult position. You know, it's nicer to have somebody else when you're in that terrible position. When you're in that predicament, yeah, when you're in that difficult situation, it's good to be in the same boat as somebody. If you feel for somebody, this is a phrasal verb and it just means to sympathise with somebody or to have sympathy for somebody. Notice that we use with the verb and we use for with the noun. That's often the case. Now, if all else fails, I think we very often use this just before we say something like at least. If all else fails, at least. So let me think of a good example here. Maybe you decide, or your friend decides, to buy a mobile home, and one of those homes on wheels. And you say, oh, that's a great idea. If all else fails, at least you can live in it. Yeah. If all else fails, maybe the engine goes wrong, maybe there's all sorts of problems with the actual mobile home, so it can't move anywhere. And you say, well, if all else fails, at least you have a place to stay. At least you have a roof over your head. So I think we very often say this: if all else fails, meaning if everything else goes wrong, at least you'll have somewhere that you can live. Yeah. Maybe one of your other mates is going to buy a bus, a coach, and you say, well, if all else fails, you could live in it. Something like that. You could use it as a house. And so even if everything else goes wrong, still there's one positive you'll get out of it. I hope that one's clear. It's not easy to explain the subtle nuances of these idioms. And so if it's not clear, please check a dictionary always, because they're better than I am. They explain things better than I do. And certainly write it under the video if you're not sure you want to see. Write it in the Q&A if you want to check a sentence. Please write it there. I'll check it with pleasure. It doesn't take me 2 seconds. Now, if you get worked up about something, you get stressed out about something. Worked up is very similar to stressed out. Yeah, you get stressed out about something. Sorry, I'm very good at writing today. And so you get stressed. You might even get angry. It might even be more than stressed out, where you become angry because you work yourself into a state. You work yourself into a frenzy. You get worked up. You get irritated, and maybe even explode. When you get worked up, you might even explode. You might even let your emotions, what's the word for it, when you're not able to control your emotions anymore. You might even let's just say get worked up means get irritated, get annoyed, or maybe even get angry about something. Let's keep it clear and simple. But there is a certain amount of stressed out in worked up. Okay, for what it's worth, you say this when you're saying this information might not be helpful.